Have you ever reached the end of the day? A day where you maybe just sat at a desk or hung out around the house?
Right, no heavy lifting.
Yeah, exactly. No heavy lifting, no running marathons, nothing like that. And yet you felt completely, utterly exhausted.
Oh, I think everyone knows that feeling.
Right. You got your 8 hours of sleep the night before, you drank your coffee, you didn't do anything physically draining, but you still feel like you have absolutely zero energy left in the tank.
Just running on fumes.
Literally fumes. Well, if you are nodding your head right now as you listen to this, you are definitely not alone. Welcome to today's deep dive. I am your host, and I'm thrilled to be here with you.
And I'm your resident analyst, ready to dig into the research.
Today, we are unpacking a fascinating transcript from a program called Human Talks, and it investigates this exact modern epidemic.
It really is an epidemic.
It is. We are looking at why we are constantly tired, despite having literally every modern convenience right at our fingertips. Okay, let's unpack this, because on the surface, it really doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And it seems contradictory until you look under the hood of how our brains are actually functioning in the modern world.
Okay, so what is the actual biological mechanism here?
Well, the core premise we are exploring from this material is that modern exhaustion isn't physical at all. We have this outdated habit of equating tiredness with physical exertion.
Like, I worked in the fields all day, so I'm tired.
Exactly. But what the transcript reveals is that we are currently dealing with a complex, almost invisible web of mental and emotional drains. It is an entirely different biological mechanism of fatigue.
An invisible web. I like that. The material actually kicks things off by examining what it calls the always busy culture.
Oh, yeah, the status symbol of our time.
It really is.
Yeah.
It points out how being very busy has morphed into a modern badge of success and importance. I mean, think about it. When you run into an old friend on the street,
And they asked how you've been.
yeah, the default answer is almost always, oh, just so busy.
We wear it like a medal.
We really do. The text highlights how this culture is so deeply ingrained that just sitting down and relaxing on a weekend can induce genuine feelings of guilt.
Like you're doing something wrong by resting.
Right. We've been completely conditioned to feel like we should always be doing something, always producing.
What's fascinating here is how the source breaks down the crucial distinction between feeling busy and actually being productive or, doing something meaningful.
There's a big gap between those two things.
Massive gap. They use a highly relatable example. You can sit at your computer and answer emails all day long. You will feel incredibly busy.
You're typing, hitting send, clearing out the inbox.
You're in motion, yeah. But at the end of the day, did you actually accomplish something meaningful?
Usually the answer is no.
Often it's a hard no. You were just managing the noise.
Managing the noise. That is a really interesting distinction, because on paper, hitting inbox 0 looks like a huge accomplishment.
It feels like a win.
But you're saying the material views that as just treading water.
Just keeping your head above the surface.
So if we are just treading water, why does it leave us so completely drained by 5 p.m.?
Because the brain never actually stops. Think of your brain like a high-powered computer. If you have 50 browser tabs open in the background...
Oh, I am terrible with browser tabs.
We all are. But imagine 50 tabs open, plus a video rendering, plus a music app playing. That battery is going to drain incredibly fast, even if the computer is just sitting motionless on a desk.
Right, because the processor's working overtime.
Exactly. And our brains are currently operating with 50 tabs open. We are engaged in these shallow, continuous tasks.
Checking notifications.
Pinging back quick replies.
Organizing schedules.
Yes. The prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that handles our complex planning and decision-making, it is constantly running background processing to manage all these microtasks.
So even if I'm just sitting still on the couch...
Which looks like physical rest.
Yeah, my brain's CPU is running at 99% capacity.
It is overheating, and that burns a tremendous amount of actual physical glucose and energy.
Wow. If our brains are burning that much fuel just keeping tabs open, it really makes me think about what those tabs actually are.
For most of us, they are right in our pockets.
Yep. That cognitive load is coming straight from our devices. The source tackles the digital drain next. And we all know the baseline reality here.
The screen time reports.
The dreaded screen time reports. We know that spending 4 or 5 hours a day looking at a smartphone is now considered completely normal.
Which is staggering when you really think about it.
It is. But the material doesn't just judge us for the screen time, though. It digs into the illusion of unwinding.
That illusion is where the real energy trap lies. You finish a long day, you crash on the sofa, and you start scrolling through social media.
And you genuinely believe you are relaxing.
Because your body is resting, you are horizontal. But cognitively, scrolling is incredibly taxing.
How so? Because it feels pretty mindless to me.
It feels mindless, but you are forcing your brain to constantly rapidly process brand new, disparate pieces of information.
Oh, I see. Like it's a comedy video.
Then immediately a text post about a global tragedy.
Then an advertisement for shoes.
Then a career update from a former colleague. Your brain is sprinting on a treadmill, rapidly switching emotional states while your body is lying dormant.
So the brain is just thrashing around trying to figure out how to feel.
Exactly. It takes energy to process empathy, then humor, then envy, all within a 10-second window.
But wait, isn't scrolling through photos of friends and family supposed to be a way to stay connected? I think a lot of people listening would argue that seeing what their peers are up to is a way to recharge socially.
That's the intention, sure.
Why does the source view that as such a drain?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is not just the cognitive processing of the screen time that exhausts us. It is the emotional toll of what we are actually observing.
Okay, unpack that for me.
The source introduces the concept of the comparison tax. When we are scrolling, we are constantly comparing our everyday, mundane reality to other people's highlight reels.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You are sitting there in your sweatpants, you're tired from work, and you are looking at highly curated photos of someone else's tropical vacation.
Or their perfect dinner.
Or their major career milestone.
So it's the psychological friction between our reality and their curated fiction.
Exactly. It is a massive tax on your energy. That constant comparison inevitably triggers feelings of inadequacy.
The fear of missing out.
Yes. The brain's amygdala, which processes emotional responses, it starts firing. We subconsciously ask, am I doing enough? Why isn't my life like that?
And dealing with that requires energy.
An immense amount of emotional energy. Processing those feelings of inadequacy, dealing with that low-level stress response, it just drains your battery simply by observing the curated lives of others.
We're literally spending energy to feel bad about yourself.
Essentially, yes.
Well, the text doesn't just leave us hanging with the problem, thankfully. To combat this digital drain, the solution they suggest is a hard boundary.
A very clear line in the sand.
Absolutely no phone for 1 hour before sleep.
It is so crucial.
They say you have to give your prefrontal cortex a chance to close all those browser tabs and let the emotional friction cool down before you try to power off for the night.
It's a vital boundary because if you don't enforce it, you carry that digital noise and that comparison tax right into your resting hours.
Which ruins your sleep.
It completely compromises the very recovery process your brain relies on to clear out the fatigue.
Okay, but even if we perfectly execute that boundary, right?
Yeah.
We put the phone in another room, we power down. There's another layer of fatigue the source explores, and this one is a bit heavier.
The emotional overload.
Yeah, they call it the heavy weight of emotional overload, or the invisible backpack.
I love that metaphor.
It's so visceral. The idea is we are all walking around carrying an invisible backpack filled with rocks.
And those rocks represent everything we manage.
The constant news cycle, family obligations, work stress, financial pressures. You can't physically see the backpack, but the psychological weight is constantly pulling down on your shoulders.
The material uses a very resonant example to illustrate this. They talk about parenting.
Oh, parents are going to relate to this one.
Absolutely. Parents carry an incredibly heavy mental load because they are fundamentally responsible for keeping another human being alive and thriving.
It's a 24/7 job.
It is. The transcript points out that even when a parent is supposedly resting or taking a moment for themselves, their brain is running relentless background checks.
The background checks, yes. Like, did my child eat enough vegetables today?
Are they struggling socially in school?
Did I remember to schedule that dentist appointment?
Exactly. It's a constant loop of potential threats and to-dos.
Just constantly scanning the horizon.
It is the cognitive drain of unresolved background tasks. Every unanswered question or pending responsibility is an open loop in the brain.
And keeping a loop open takes power.
Keeping those loops active consumes a massive amount of energy. It's an emotional fatigue that is completely separate from physical tiredness.
So how does the text suggest we actually alleviate that load? We can't just stop being parents or stop paying bills.
No, we can't. But the source synthesizes a few key approaches to manage it. First, sharing responsibilities wherever possible. Actively distributing the contents of the backpack so you aren't carrying all the rocks alone.
Like actually delegating tasks at home or at work.
Yes. Second, having honest, explicit conversations about your feelings.
How does talking about it help the fatigue, though?
Verbalizing the overwhelm takes it out of the abstract background processing and makes it concrete. When you speak it out loud, it actually lessens its internal weight on your cognitive load.
You're closing a loop by acknowledging it.
Precisely. And finally, fundamentally accepting that you cannot control everything.
That's the hardest one. I want you, the listener, to just take a second right now. Reflect on your own invisible mental load as you listen to us.
What rocks are in your backpack?
What are the background checks your brain is running while you are listening to this deep dive? What open loops are draining your battery? Are you carrying rocks that belong to someone else?
Or trying to control outcomes that are actually entirely out of your hands.
Recognizing that mechanism is the very first step to finally setting the backpack down.
It is a crucial reflection. Because once we identify the specific mechanisms draining us...
The illusion of being busy, the digital comparison, the open loops.
Exactly. Once we see them, we can shift our focus to what actually restores our vitality.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the source shifts gears entirely to focus on solutions.
We need the solutions.
We do. And it starts by exploring a concept that might sound a bit philosophical at first. Meaning versus money.
It's a powerful distinction.
The transcript proposes that true, sustainable energy replenishment comes from finding deep meaning in your actions, rather than just chasing financial gain.
Which runs counter to everything the always busy culture teaches us.
Right. Money is necessary, obviously, but the text says it functions like fast-burn fuel.
Like sugar for the brain.
Exactly. It gives you a quick spike of motivation, maybe you get a bonus and you work hard for a week, but it doesn't provide deep, long-term energy.
Yeah.
Helping someone else or creating something genuinely useful that generates real, lasting vitality.
Fast burn fuel is the perfect analogy. And the text adds another important layer to this, highlighting the power of small growth.
Small growth, what does that look like?
We naturally generate energy when we perceive forward progress in our lives. It does not have to be a massive life-altering achievement.
It doesn't have to be a promotion.
No. Simply observing a small improvement in your physical health, grasping a new concept, or just deepening a personal relationship provides a profound sense of momentum.
It feels good to get better at things.
Human beings are neurologically wired to crave growth. When we experience it, our brains literally reward us with the energy to keep going.
I would have thought the source would follow this up by recommending a massive life overhaul. Like quitting your job to find meaning, or going on a month-long silent retreat.
Right, some dramatic shift.
But it doesn't. Instead, it provides 4 highly practical, almost surprisingly basic energy boosters.
Very actionable things.
Yes. And the first one they emphasize is sleep.
It is the absolute foundation, yet often the very first thing we sacrifice when we feel busy.
We say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or I just need to stay up to finish these emails.
You cannot out-hack a biological sleep deficit. The text champions 7 to 8 hours not as a luxury, but as a non-negotiable requirement.
Why is it so non-negotiable for cognitive fatigue?
Because during deep sleep, your brain is actively clearing out the metabolic waste and toxins that build up during all that cognitive processing we talked about earlier.
The 50 tabs open.
Yes. Running those tabs creates waste products in the brain. Without that nightly clearing process, you are essentially waking up with yesterday's trash still sitting in your prefrontal cortex.
Oh, wow. Which explains the brain fog.
Completely.
That makes perfect sense. Now, the second booster the text outlines is movement. But again, they aren't advocating for an expensive gym membership or a grueling 2-hour workout routine that leaves you physically depleted.
No heavy lifting required.
Exactly. They specifically recommend a 20-minute walk in the fresh air. Why does the material emphasize a simple walk over intense exercise for energy replenishment?
Because a brief walk in fresh air serves as an immediate physiological reset.
A reset.
Yes, it stimulates blood flow, increases oxygen to the brain, and triggers the release of endorphins without flooding the system with the stress hormones that can actually accompany highly intensive, grueling workouts.
So a heavy workout might actually drain the battery more.
If you're already cognitively exhausted, yes. A walk rapidly changes your mood and resets your baseline energy. It acts as a clear transition point in your day.
The third booster is real connection. And the text makes a very sharp, deliberate distinction here between texting someone and actually talking to them.
This is a vital distinction for the modern world.
We assume that maintaining 50 different text conversations means we are highly connected.
We feel popular.
Right. But the source argues there's a profound difference between the two.
There is a massive neurological difference. Human beings require genuine connection for emotional regulation. When you send a text or an emoji, you are exchanging information.
Data transfer.
Yes, just data. But when you look into someone's eyes and have an authentic, real-time conversation, you are engaging mirror neurons and triggering the release of oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly. That biological response actively lowers your stress levels and replenishes your emotional reserves. A text thread simply cannot replicate the chemical benefits of human presence.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. An emoji gives you data, but eye contact gives you fuel.
Beautifully said.
The fourth and final booster the text provides is single tasking.
This point is critical because the text completely dismantles the pervasive myth of multitasking.
We all think we're so good at it.
We are terrible at it. As we discussed earlier with the browser tabs, the human brain isn't actually capable of doing 2 or 3 complex things simultaneously.
What is it doing then?
It is just rapidly context switching back and forth between tasks.
And that rapid switching is what drains the battery.
Exactly. Every time you shift your focus from writing a report to checking an email to listening to a conversation, your brain incurs a cognitive switching cost.
A switching cost.
Yes. It has to load the rules for the new task and discard the rules for the old one. Doing that hundreds of times a day is incredibly exhausting.
So single tasking is the antidote.
The text argues that single tasking, relentlessly focusing on one single objective until it is complete, is actually a highly effective form of energy conservation.
It's almost a relief to hear that multitasking is scientifically flawed.
It takes the pressure off.
It really gives you permission to just focus on the one thing right in front of you. And this brings us to the grand finale of the source material. The authors take all of these behavioral insights, the cognitive loads, the comparison tax, the need for meaning, and package them into a concrete 7-day challenge.
A great way to put theory into practice.
Yes. And I want to issue this challenge directly to you, the listener, as a structured way to actively apply the concepts we've been unpacking today.
It is an excellent low-stakes experiment to run on your own daily routines.
The text outlines 5 rules for the 7-day challenge. Ready?
Let's hear them.
Rule number 1. Sleep 7 to 8 hours every single night.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize the recovery phase.
Non-negotiable.
Rule number 2. No phone for 1 hour before bed. Period. Create that hard boundary. Put it in another room if you have to.
Stop the comparison tag.
Exactly. Rule number 3. Walk for at least 15 minutes every day. Get the fresh air and reset your baseline.
Oxygenate the brain.
Rule number 4. Write down 3 things you are grateful for. Shift the focus from comparison to appreciation.
Reframing the mindset.
And rule number 5. Do 1 important task per day. Just 1 meaningful thing, not 50 shallow things. 1.
What makes this framework so effective is the underlying philosophy. It relies entirely on small, realistic actions.
Nothing extreme.
No. The text is not asking you to quit your job, abandon modern society, and throw your smartphone into a river.
Though it is tempting sometimes.
Very tempting. But no, it is just asking you to make tiny, achievable lifestyle adjustments. And those small actions compound over time.
They build momentum.
They act as a deliberate, active rebellion against the fast, noisy digital world that is constantly engineering new ways to drain your battery.
Small actions, big change. So what does this all mean? When we look at the transcript, the behavioral science, and the daily challenges we face, what is the ultimate takeaway here?
The overarching synthesis is that modern exhaustion is a completely natural, logical reaction to an unnatural environment.
We aren't broken.
No, we aren't broken at all. Our fast-paced, digital, always-on world is literally designed to capture our attention and consume our cognitive bandwidth.
It's working exactly as designed.
Exactly. But the empowering takeaway from the source material is that we are not helpless victims in this ecosystem. We possess the agency to slow down.
We have a choice.
We have the ability to enforce boundaries, to choose single tasking over context switching, and to intentionally protect our energy reserves through small, deliberate daily habits.
We can take back control of the thermostat and decide how much fuel we're willing to burn.
Precisely. We are in the driver's seat.
I love that.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought that builds on everything we've analyzed today.
Oh, I'm ready. Lay it on us.
We've talked extensively about how constantly absorbing new information and comparing our lives drains our cognitive energy.
Right. The scrolling, the highlight reels.
And we've discussed how finding true meaning replenishes it. This raises an important, somewhat counterintuitive question. What if the ultimate rebellion against modern fatigue isn't just turning off our phones or going for a walk, but actively choosing to be bored?
Choosing to be bored. That
Okay.
goes against every instinct we have right now.
It does. We're terrified of boredom. But think about it. If meaning gives us energy, as the sources suggest, could allowing ourselves to experience true, unfiltered boredom be the exact blank canvas our brains desperately need?
A blank canvas.
Yes, without the constant digital noise, without the endless shallow tasks, without the highlight reels to compare ourselves to boredom, might just be the quiet, uncomfortable space where we finally figure out what is actually meaningful to us in the first place.
A blank canvas for the brain to discover what actually matters.
Yeah,
That is a brilliant thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
it was a pleasure unpacking this with you.
I highly encourage you listening right now to test out that 7-day challenge. Pick a day to start, stick to those 5 simple rules, and observe how your energy transforms when you take back your cognitive bandwidth. Until next time, take care of yourselves, maybe embrace a little unfiltered boredom this week, and we will catch you on the next one.